Hello and welcome to my channel. Have you ever understood how a project approach is selected either by the project manager, the project executive, or even by the organization or the entity that you are representing? Don't worry, in this video, I'm going to take you through what are the project approaches that you have to consider, what do you have to go through, what do you have to think about, what do you have to categorize for you to choose a specific project approach. So this is what we're going to cover in this video. I would advise you to watch this video up to the end. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Oscar Mbira. I'm a certified program and project manager. This is the channel I help aspiring project managers and also practicing project managers to succeed. The next activity within the project startup phase is to make sure that you also agree on the project approach. Project approach, it's a very broad term in project management, but I'll quickly explain to you the basics. There are normally three approaches in terms of execution of the project, which I can put as the first category, the execution of the project. You can either go for what is called a waterfall model, or agile model, or even hybrid. So let me expand on these three approaches that you can use in a project. So if it is a waterfall model or methodology, it means you are doing project tasks in sequence. One, you complete, you go to the next one, you complete, you go to the next one, you complete. I've seen it in some projects through my experience where, for example, the analysis phase has to be completed first before the design phase and also before the build or the test and confirmation phase. So in actual fact, members are in one stage or one phase at any given moment, and the project is in one phase or one stage at any given moment. So whatever reports that you pull out as a project manager, you are only reporting one stage. So which means before you initiate another stage, you plan for it. When you finish another stage, you create what is called a end stage report, and then you move on like that. So that's the waterfall approach. It works in some situations, it doesn't work in some situations. For example, waterfall is best especially if it's very difficult to change the previous deliverables. For example, you are constructing a building. It will be very easier if you do it the waterfall model. You start your foundation, your structure, your roofing, electrifications, and so on and so forth. It works also for software development, especially if you take the banking solutions in most cases, where the banks will buy the software first and then try to customize it before they put it in production. So they have the analysis, the design, also the build, the test, and the deployment phases. So that is the waterfall model. I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will also help to grow this channel. It will also help this channel to create more videos like this one. The second model or approach is agile. You have heard people saying agility, you need to be agile. The concept behind the agile methodology is for users or end users. Remember, I've spoken about the users, the end users, to quickly start seeing results. And then you polish up the product or whatever you're delivering in the project as you go. There are also some cases where agile methodology is the best. There are also some cases where agile methodology is actually not the best. For example, if you know that you are not able to go back and change or improve the previous products, it's very, very difficult to be agile. However, agile, it also helps to have what are called sprints. You start on something all the way up to the end in a specific period. Then you come again in the next sprint, you take something else all the way up to the end. It's very, very applicable, especially when you're doing software projects. Agile methodology is the best from my experience. Because you can take one module, you develop it, you test it, you confirm it all the way, users, they see results, then you start scaling and improving the product from that point onwards. In some cases, it doesn't work because it becomes very difficult to change the previous stage deliverables. It might be even very costly to do that. Then, the third category of the implementation approach or the project approach that you might choose during the project startup phase is called the hybrid. I've been involved in projects where the hybrid was the best. I was also involved in projects where hybrid was the West. So we had to fall back to Waterfall. I've spoken about Waterfall before. So what is this hybrid methodology? During the hybrid methodology, you are mixing both Waterfall and Agile. Sometimes you find that initially when you are starting it's Waterfall, then probably in between the project, you go Agile, then towards the end of the project, you might go back to Waterfall again. It has got its own pros and cons. For example, where it's applicable, and even where the timelines are very flexible, we have seen that hybrid is actually easy to use. However, where you have got so many constraints, for example, budget constraints, time constraints, technical constraints, technology constraints, hybrid becomes very difficult. Hybrid approach becomes very difficult, especially when you want to switch from one model to the other, from Agile to Waterfall, Waterfall to Agile. You might face some constraints which are very restrictive. You have identified the approach that you want to use in terms of Waterfall, Agile, and hybrid. You might also want to discuss the approach you are going to use in terms of resources. Are you going to use internal resources or you are going to use external resources? You also need to decide on your project approach. You might also want to decide in terms of the solution approach. Are you going to go for an off-the-shelf solution? Or if it's software, are you going to go for an open source solution and then you build from there? Sometimes also your approach is determined by the compliance issues or the legal issues. So those are some of the considerations that you have to make when you want to decide on which project approach are you supposed to take. There are some legal or compliance issues. For example, it's a health issue. You might not be allowed to do the project in the open. Probably it has to be an enclosed environment as part of the compliance issue. Or legally, you might not be allowed to do a certain project within some closed residential areas. It has to be done very far. Or sometimes you don't need to do it in the mountains. You have to do it in water. So it all depends on the compliance and the rules of the project environment. You might also want to consider technology. This is very important. I've seen some projects being abandoned because they chose the wrong technology. So technology is very important when it comes to choosing the approach of the project. You might want to say, for example, you are creating a new product. There's a certain machinery or a production plant that you want to use. Maybe it's going out of use or it's very old. So you also need to consider that. If you don't consider that, you start a project, halfway into the project, you face some difficulties, you stop the project, you change the technology, you change the machinery, which is going to be very costly. So that is very important to consider when you are considering the approach of the project. If you want me to create additional videos based on the concepts, the techniques, and all the information that we have discussed earlier in this video, or else you have some clarifications, let me know in the comment section below.